Hi there, a very good morning to all our viewers who've joined us bright and early this Monday morning. Well, we have a lot lined up for you. You're watching Newspresso live on Moneycontrol with me, Stacy Pereira. And as the drill goes, we're going to be giving you a whole loadout of all the global stories that are doing the rounds, also insights into India and of course the latest trends, giving you the edge and keeping you informed. So let's get straight to it and bring you all that we're getting from our global dispatch. Now, it seems like stocks on Wall Street fell on Friday as investors wrapped up that volatile week ahead of the Federal Reserve's policy meeting. Now, the Dow Jones slid about 288 odd points or about 0.83%. The S&P 500 too ending lower by about 1.22%. Nasdaq Composite also down by over 1.5 percentage point. Now, tech stocks were the one that took it on the chin, with stocks like Adobe shedding more than 4%, even though it posted positive results. We also saw shares of ARM holding, which were lower by about 4.2% just a day after its successful public debut. Now, Wall Street is passing through a mixed batch of economic data ahead of Fed policy decision, which will be announced on September 20th. Moving on to Europe, where most of the indices closed slightly higher on Friday as traders reacted to the European Central Bank's suggestion that its latest hikes may be its last. Now, the regional stock 600 index ended about 0.2% higher, and it was the household goods which really led the gains, up by about 1.4%, while luxury stocks were the ones that got a boost from China's retail sales figures. Stocks like LVMH were up by about 2.5%, but shares of H&M slumped by about 5% after the retailer reported flattish sales. Now, Game Workshop 2, that UK-based maker of Warhammer, was trading 9% higher on Friday. And a look at Asian markets, where most of the indices are trading under pressure this Monday morning as investors look ahead to a week of central banks' decision. In Australia, the S&P ASX 200 has started on a weak note, down by about 0.74%. Traders are awaiting the minutes of the September 5th policy meet from Australia's central bank. We also have South Korea's Kospi, which is down by about 0.5 percentage point. Leading the losses, though, in Asia is the Hong Kong Hang Seng Index, which is down and slipped by about 1.16% this morning. The only outlier being Japan's Nikkei 225, which is trading over 1% higher. Most of this is aided by SoftBank, which is reportedly planning to invest tens of billions into artificial intelligence, according to a report by the Financial Times. And if you look back home, the Gift Nifty is indicating a gap down start for the Indian indices. And while oil prices too have hit a 10-month high on Friday and posted a third weekly gain, and as supply tightness spearheaded by Saudi Arabia's production cut, combined with that optimism around Chinese demand, has really lifted Brent crude. Now, Brent crude futures settled around $93.93 per barrel. Both the benchmarks, in fact, have gained for the fifth consecutive session, as well as gained about 4% on a weekly basis. If you look at oil prices, they are on the track for the biggest quarterly increase since the Russian invasion of Ukraine in the first quarter of 2022. And speaking of soaring oil prices, well, Pakistan went ahead and raised petrol prices by 14.9 rupees, which ends up with petrol being over 305 rupees per litre there, while diesel prices too were raised by about 18.4 rupees, making diesel prices 311.8 per litre. Prices clearly crossing 300 rupee per litre mark for the first time in history. The latest increase comes about a fortnight after petrol and diesel prices were hiked by about 17 and 20 rupees respectively, and earlier in August as well, the country increased petrol and diesel prices in order to meet the fiscal objectives that were laid down in that deal by IMF, compounding to sky-high inflation. Now, petrol and diesel have become costlier by about 20% since the caretaker government took over in August. Remember, the caretaker Prime Minister Anwar Haq Kakar has been tasked with steering the country through this national election, which is due to take place in November, and also making sure that the economic stability is maintained. And moving on to other news that is making global headlines. Well, on September 10th, we saw Hurricane Daniel make a landfall in Libya, which really unleashed that furious flash floods as well as heavy rains and strong winds in the eastern region of the North African country. Now, about 7 days later, Libya's coastal city of Derna is still grappling with that post-disaster relief work, having suffered heavy devastations through this week. Now, a Jordanian search and rescue team has also joined the efforts yesterday to look for survivors in the coastal city of Derna. As per the sources, over 11,300 have died due to the flood so far, and the UN Office of Coordination on Humanitarian Affairs reported yesterday that another 10,100 were perhaps still missing from the city. Let's also get your recap of how markets performed here back home, where we did see markets jumping to those new record highs on September 15. That was Friday, with the Nifty 50 climbing above that 20,200 mark intraday for the first time. The BSE Sensex too rose about 320 odd points to end at 67,839. If you look at broader markets, those ones closed moderately higher, with the mid-cap and small-cap indices climbing by about 0.3 and 0.4% respectively. But it's mostly the positive global cues, falling of volatility, as well as the uptrend in auto, banking and financial services that is really pushing the indices higher and really aiding that rally. In fact, markets will also be digesting a slew of central bank meetings this week. We have the US Fed, the Bank of England, as well as Bank of Japan, which is slated to announce their interest rate decisions this week. But among the stocks that you need to be keeping on your radar, well, we do have L&T as its 10,000 crore rupees share buyback kicks off today. There's also Tata Steel, as the company has now gone ahead and inked that 1.25 billion pounds worth of JV with the UK government. Also, keep a lookout for Vedanta, as the board will be meeting on Thursday, so you could expect some action in these stocks. Let's also tell you all the actions that's transpiring in the primary market, where we can say it's really stepping on the gas, with 10 companies ready to throng the Lal Street with their initial public issues this week. And they're looking to raise close to 2,400 crores through this IPOs. Now, it's not just, there are already 6 offers which are still open from the last week, with their bids continuing to be open, and we're going to see 5 stocks that are lined up to hit the Lal Street and list on the bourses. So let me take you through each one of these. Let's see first, in the main board segment, we have Telangana-based ethnic apparel retailer Sai Silk Kala Mandir, as well as the NCR-based real estate developer Signature Global India, which will be the first IPOs in the main board segment, opening on September 20th and closing on September 22nd. Then we also have up next Manoj Vaibhav Gems and Jewelers. This one will open, this is the one that under the brand name of Vaibhav Jewelers, which will float its offer on September 22nd and close on September 26th. The Andhra-based jewelry retailer intends to mop up close to 270 crore rupees from the IPO, with a price band of 204 to 215 per share. Now, if we look at the main board segment, we also have bids of Sami Hotels, Zaggle Prepaid, Ocean Services, as well as Yatra Online, which are still currently open for bids and will close later this week. Moving on to the SME segment, where Gujarat-based spice maker Madhusudan Masala, environmental consulting services provider Techno Green Solutions, as well as green engineering components manufacturer Master Components, and Solapur-based organic recycling systems will be the IPOs in the SME segment to hit the Lal Street. These all are beginning today and will close on September 21st. Let's also check out the listings that are expected this week. In the main board, we have healthcare service provider Jupiter Life Hospitals, which will be opening today, as well as healthcare. As we're also going to be seeing a lot of action in this stock, so one could look out for the big IPO that's opening today. And in the SME segment, we have Jeevan Ram Industries, as well as UniHealth Consultancy and Mason Valves India, which will be listing on the NSE Emerge and BSE SME indices this week. So that was all that we're going to get to see from the primary markets. A lot in store. 10 IPOs that we have, and already 6 that are open from last week. So a lot of action clearly in the primary markets. But let's move on to news that is making national headlines. Well, yesterday we saw the Prime Minister launch the Vishwakarma scheme. This is for artisans as well as craft people, and he launched the scheme right after that inauguration. We saw this is a 13,000 crore worth scheme which will equip craftspeople as well as with new technologies and upgrade their skills as per modern market demands. The scheme aims to enhance accessibility and quality of products and services offered by these traditional artisans. Now, the scheme offers collateral-free enterprise development loans as well, and under the scheme, a concessional rate of interest of 5% will be charged from the beneficiaries, with interest subvention cap of about 8% to be paid by the Ministry of SME. Now, the scheme was also announced yesterday by Prime Minister Modi. Let's listen into some of those details that he gave it.
बिना गारंटी मांगे 3 लाख रुपए तक का कर्ज मिलेगा, आपको ऋण मिलेगा। और ये भी सुनिश्चित किया गया है कि इस ऋण का ब्याज बहुत ही कम रहे।
And to more from the political sphere, where the special 5-day session of Parliament will be kicking off today, and all eyes will be fixed on the central government and what its next move is going to be. Now, the tentative list of agenda for this session includes about 8 bills, is what at least the Parliamentary Affairs Minister went on to say yesterday. Now, 2 of the issues, though, which were rumored to be taken up in the special Parliament session, which include that One Nation, One Election bill, as well as a potential resolution to rename India as Bharat. Those have been those contentious issues, especially between the opposition parties and the central government, and we'll have to wait and see if those really show up. So far, they haven't been listed in the agenda. Another matter that could really come up is the women's reservation bill. In fact, Sonia Gandhi has written to the centre asking to bring the women's reservation bill in Parliament during this session. Interestingly, the parliamentary proceedings will begin as usual in the old building starting today. However, when it does convene on Wednesday, after that Ganesh Chaturthi break, we are going to see the affairs move to the new Parliament building, which was inaugurated in May this year. So clearly a nice shift that we're going to see all of our parliamentarians moving to this new building that was inaugurated in May. Well, let's also get you up to speed with all that's doing trends and what you're seeing on social media. Well, you will hear of NASA astronaut Frank Rubio, who has set a new US space flight record, eclipsing the previous record of 355 consecutive days on board the International Space Center. This is the single longest mission for any of NASA's astronauts, and astronaut Rubio will in fact return to planet Earth on September 27th, when he would also be spending now a total of 371 days in space. Now, a little background about him. Well, he was selected by NASA to join their 2017 astronaut candidate class and graduated 2 years later. He was also launched aboard that Roscosmos Soyuz back in September last year. And this was his first trip to space, and in addition to serving as an astronaut, Rubio is also a medical doctor and a lieutenant colonel in the US Army. In fact, Rubio will be speaking to media about his record-breaking mission on board that International Space Center during his Earth to space call, which will take place at about 12:15 p.m. on American Standard Time on Tuesday, that is September 19. And this virtual news conference will be the final opportunity to hear from Rubio while he's in the orbit, and will be live streamed on NASA television as well as the NASA app and their website. So it will be interesting to hear from somebody from the International Space Center, especially someone who spent such a long time there. Well, moving on then to all the sporting action, and of course we saw our men in blue lift that Asia Cup there in what could be least described as a spectacular victory, and the game that could have taken 50 overs was done in just about 6 overs. Yes, Sri Lanka, which began to bat, wickets started falling quite rapidly. We saw India's Mohammad Siraj brought Sri Lanka literally to its knees with within just a starting of 6 overs of the match. Also Hardik Pandya, who got 3 wickets there. Sri Lanka's team was all out by just about 50 runs, which is their second lowest score over in any ODI. In the second innings, we saw India open with Ishan Kishan as well as Shubman Gill, and the pair really put out a good 32 runs in just over 3 overs. They soldiered on and chased down that total in just about 7 overs, helping India cruise and clinch that cup with 10 wickets and 263 balls left. So clearly it was a great victory for India that we saw. Good weekend cheer that we got to see from our men in blue. Well, with that, it's a wrap, and hope this dose of Newspresso was useful. But before we let you go, well, tomorrow is the day when Bappa comes home, and most Mumbaikars have been awaiting this day. Well, we will leave you with some visuals of how the city of Mumbai is gearing up for Ganesh Chaturthi this year. We will see you again, though, on Wednesday. With all of those watching from the Moneycontrol team, we'd like to wish all of our viewers a happy Ganesh Chaturthi in advance. Take a look.